Tonight, a wall of wind, dust, and rain rips through southern Nevada. News 13's 11 minutes of nonstop news begins now. Hello, I'm Cathy Ray.
And I'm Ross Becker. We're going to have the latest weather warnings for the valley. Also, a live rundown of storm damage so far, and of course, Nate Tannenbaum's weekend forecast. Now, in just 8 hours, the UMC Trauma Center will be back in business saving lives, but the medical malpractice insurance crisis is not over. And also tonight, high-tech crime fighting. How to spot the bad guys by just looking into their eyes. But we begin tonight with, of course, our severe thunderstorm that ripped through our neighborhoods. Yeah, the warnings are over at this hour, but the damage is still being cleaned up. Nate will have the very latest on the forecast in just a few minutes. First, we're going to go out to News 13's Veronica Sanchez, who's been braving the elements. She's out right now on the southwest side of the valley at 2:15 in Decatur, where that storm hit big time.
Yeah, Kathy, it's been pretty calm out here for the past 4 hours, but when the storm actually came in, it came in pretty hard. Now check this out. This was me at about 6:30 this evening, giving you the very first live report from the scene, trying not to be blown away by this powerful and sudden storm.
Well, it's like panic. Your heart starts to race.
Karen Mokri describing the storm that came out of nowhere. It kicked up winds, blew trash, and illuminated the skies with lightning. Karen and her kids were stuck in the middle of it. Their minivan broke down.
And then you're like looking around and you're thinking, well, the sun's shining on this side, but over there it's kind of rainy, but then you feel the wind and you don't really know what to expect.
All you had to do was look up.
I could see it coming in, you know. Black clouds just over the horizon.
The clouds brought furious 65-mile-an-hour winds. Drivers had to be careful, and state troopers made sure the roads were safe. Ambulances responded to calls while the winds kept blowing. This guy never even felt it.
I missed it. Not to say we won't get any more. It's pretty nasty clouds over there.
Clouds that could very well come back and bring with them rain and flooding. A sign that monsoon season here in Vegas is near.
I love it. Smelly air, clean.
Love Vegas. Weather and all.
Now, about 4,000 Nevada Power customers were without power for a while, but that's because of the debris that was actually blowing into Nevada Power substations, causing those outages. Good news, though, power has been restored to most of the areas tonight. Reporting live, Veronica Sanchez, News 13, inside Las Vegas.
Any other visible damage out there, Veronica? What's it like out there now?
Really, there was not a whole lot of damage, maybe some blown over signs and debris and some trash, but it's all pretty much cleaned up by now.
Yeah, it could have been a lot worse.
Yes, definitely.
Okay, Veronica, thanks a lot. You know, when it comes to damage, however, Laughlin was one of the hardest areas hit by this storm. At the peak of the wind, the gust blew part of the roof of a county water pumping station right off. The planks from that roof then blew into the Pioneer Hotel Casino, causing some damage there. And those who witnessed it say that the wind picked up and then it was gone as quickly as it appeared. But for a few moments, it was fierce.
It was pretty ugly. A lot of lightning, a lot of wind, a lot of clouds. Tremendous windstorm came up out of the northeast.
Guests staying at that hotel were kept from their rooms for a while so the managers could assess the damage, make sure it was safe for the guests to return. Luckily, the damage was not major, and we're told hotel maintenance is handling the cleanup.
Well, back here in the valley, winds of about 65 miles an hour forced a commercial passenger plane to abort its landing at McCarran. The pilot of Southwest Airlines Flight 528 from Reno had to land the plane at Nellis Air Force Base because the wind kicked up dust, causing poor visibility. The plane refueled at Nellis and then took off a few hours later, but some of the passengers opted to be bused to the airport instead of getting back on that airplane. Well, all of the crazy weather seems to be over for the night.
Yeah, but we're not out of the woods yet. There are more storms perhaps in store for tomorrow. The forecast team's Nate Tannenbaum has been a very busy man tonight. Hello, Nate.
Hey, Ross and Kathy. Yeah, all the signs are still there. Not much has changed as far as the way the atmosphere is set up, but we'll take you through time. Kingman earlier this afternoon with a 77-mile-an-hour wind gust. That's stronger than hurricane force. And just before 3 o'clock this afternoon, that's where the rainstorm cells were, and they literally just marched on into town. Another more interesting view, I think, is to almost fly underneath the storm, and you can see how it was literally a wall and there's plenty of lightning to go around, not just down here in southern Nevada, but also for our neighbors up to the north. And then after 6 o'clock, there it was, just almost exit stage left, with near 70-mile-an-hour winds reported in many neighborhoods. Now, when you start your Saturday, there will be some clouds, but there'll also be some sun. We're keeping an eye out for the potential for the same thing to happen during the day again tomorrow. The morning low will be 88. We'll talk much more about the weekend and into the week ahead in a few minutes, Ross and Kathy.
All right, see you then, Nate. Well, now to the UMC trauma crisis. At this hour, some of the Valley's brightest doctors are asleep. They're resting.
Yeah, but in about 8 hours, I should say, they're going to be back in the UMC Trauma Center, and they're going to be working for the first time in 10 days. News 13's Scott Burton is outside the Trauma Center right now.
Well, Ross, paramedics talk about the golden hour, the maximum amount of time it should take to get a patient from an accident scene to the trauma center for treatment. Well, tomorrow morning, 7 o'clock in the morning, that's the golden hour here for the Valley, because that's when the doors to UMC are going to open up again. It's an announcement that couldn't come soon enough.
The UMC Trauma Center is back in business. We will be reopening our doors at 7 a.m. tomorrow morning.
Late Thursday night, all the talking and negotiating paid off, and the trauma center crisis was solved for now.
Governor Gwynn, he flew back early. He met with us on a Sunday afternoon on his anniversary, 46-year anniversary, and within a few days of finding out that he had prostate cancer, and I think that's shows a lot.
It's not a permanent fix. The doctors will be made part-time employees. They'll be covered by a $50,000 malpractice judgment cap, and they'll go back to work. But they still want the laws changed. They say they need the laws changed to help lower their malpractice insurance premiums.
What happens this legislative session is going to affect each and every member that's in this room. And I trust, the Department of Orthopedics at UMC trusts that the legislators will do the right thing.
This is only a 45-day temporary fix. If you think this whole thing's over, you're wrong. But we seem to be off to a good start.
This will set a very, very positive tone for our special session. I cannot emphasize that enough.
The trauma center will once again be open, and the critically injured of Las Vegas will once again have a place to go. But there's a long road ahead. Everyone involved hopes it doesn't come to this. Now, Dr. Dobbs warns it could come to this if a permanent solution isn't found in the next legislative session. He warns of a mass exodus of doctors if something's not done permanently. But tonight, the news is good. In fact, inside the UMC Trauma Center, there's a big sign that says "Welcome Home," showing these doctors just how much they are needed here in the Valley. Live at UMC's Trauma Center, I'm Scott Burton, News 13 inside Las Vegas.
Emergency medical teams and ambulance crews will begin their runs back to the trauma center in just a few hours. Southwest Ambulance says its crews want to return to the trauma center, once considered one of the nation's best. But they add, during the past 10 days, other local ERs certainly stepped up to meet the challenge.
The hospitals have done a really, really good job in preparing for the influx of trauma patients to their facilities.
As part of the reopening, UMC is going to have to officially alert ambulance crews all across the Valley.
And we've said this is a temporary fix, and here's why. Doctors' medical malpractice insurance problems may be getting worse. The Nevada Division of Insurance is giving the okay for 2 malpractice insurance companies to increase their rates. One of them, called the Medical Protective Company, will increase rates by 63% overall, with an average increase of 76%. The company insures about 85 doctors and corporations in Nevada. Now, the Doctors Company will increase rates by 50% for all policyholders. The company insures 349 doctors right here in Clark County. So what is next for the UMC trauma doctors and this whole crisis? Well, Governor Kenny Gwynn says he's calling a special session of the legislature at the end of the month to come up with some kind of statewide plan to solve the medical malpractice problem here in Nevada. And that will probably mean legal reforms to make it tougher to sue doctors for malpractice and discourage frivolous lawsuits.
New tonight, plans to give East Fremont Street a facelift, including tapping into some of the old magic. Architecture and planning students from the University of Pennsylvania came out here to Las Vegas. Well, they looked around and they went to the drawing board. And this is how they visualize a revitalized downtown using retro Las Vegas looks and building from what's already there.
This is an exciting, extraordinary place, and that Las Vegas can tear it down and start from scratch, but then they lose this thing that's uniquely Las Vegas.
Now, these plans incorporate places for people to live, work, shop, and of course have a great time. Mayor Oscar Goodman hopes developers will get on board and get the project rolling in the very near future.
Well, plans for a new wind energy farm at the Nevada test site are canceled. The Energy Department says experts at Nellis Air Force Base were worried about possible radar interference from the turbines. The Air Force says interference would affect testing, training, and tactical development at the test site and the military training range. The wind plant would have been able to supply power to 85,000 people. And we certainly do need the power. Another day of record heat around the West, but the only record we set here in Las Vegas was for power usage. Today, Nevada Power customers used more energy than ever before. 4,617 megawatts. That shattered the previous record set just 2 days ago. That was 4,501 megawatts. Think you had a bad week?
Well, it could be a lot worse depending on how much money you have on Wall Street. $700 billion went down the drain this week as the stocks took a nosedive. That's a lot of money, enough to keep the military running for 2 years. Today, the Dow closed down another 117 points. All this amid news that consumer confidence is at an 8-month low. Experts say this is what the stock market, however, is all about.
Market's about fear and greed. We've got a real manic depressive type of personality at this point, and when stocks are up and a piece of news comes out that could be interpreted as negative, investors are doing some selling.
We do have some good numbers to report today. However, retail sales, they're up. So are profits from major companies like GE and Dell.
Well, she had one of the best jobs ever. That is traveling around the world and finding the craziest, wildest vacation spots.
Of course, we're talking about Brooke Burke from E's Wild On Show. Well, tonight, we're going to take you to a wild Las Vegas audition where the search is on for Brooke's replacement.
And it's the technology the United States is using to keep us safe from terrorists, but it has been used on the Las Vegas Strip for years. Next, we're going to introduce you to Las Vegas's facial recognition experts.
It's being called the next best thing in cars. Great gas mileage, and the best part, the government gives you big money to buy it.
Accelerate your savings. Watch this special report from Tricia Keene and Contact 13, the 11 minutes of nonstop news. Tuesday at 11 on News 13, inside Las Vegas.
Now, with more complete coverage, News 13 continues with Ross Becker, Cathy Ray, Nathan Tannenbaum with your complete forecast, Ron Futrell Sports, and Tricia Keene with Contact 13. This is News 13 inside Las Vegas.
Welcome back, and Nate's with us, busy Nate Tannenbaum because of all the weather. You know, I think it was interesting because we haven't had a storm for a long time, and that picture of that wall of wind coming into the valley, we thought this was going to be really bad.
And I also thought when you hear thunderstorm, you think rain, and I think floods. And it
I think people's traditional ideas of a severe thunderstorm warning were kind of turned upside down this evening, as most of us were anyway, just with that incredible wind. And did you notice the temperature drop? Almost 25 degrees from near 115 degrees at 5 o'clock down to about 90 degrees in a matter of an hour. Take a look outside. The temperature actually ended up going back up after the storm blew through. Stratocam looking down. Yeah, the wind is gone for now. It could be back sometime tomorrow. 94 at the top of the hour, humidity 27%, feeling a little bit on the muggy side. The wind right now is out of the southwest at only 10 miles an hour. The barometer is rising to 9.80. To the radar picture we go one more time. We mentioned the 77-mile-an-hour wind gust at Kingman. There was also a 63-mile-an-hour wind gust right across the river from Laughlin at Bullhead. Searchlight, actually Cal Navary, with a 65-mile-an-hour wind gust, and the Henderson Executive Airport with a 69-mile-an-hour wind gust. And there, once again, not all that impressive as far as widespread rain coverage, but very impressive in terms of literally a wall of rain marching across southern Nevada, then it headed on into San Bernardino County. Temperatures around the valley here at 11 o'clock. Henderson, you're back up to 99 after getting down to the low 90s. Nellis, you're at 98. There are a couple of clouds around. North Las Vegas, you're at 97. Summerlin, you're at 95. The National Weather Service reading is at 92, just down the way from the official reading out at McCarran. Meantime, other readings around the county. Laughlin, close to triple digits. Mount Charleston reported an area raindrop, but a few gusty winds. A trace of rain out at Pahrump at 87. Everybody else pretty much around 90, with the exception of Kingman at 78. Now, before all of this happened, we made it to 112 this afternoon, warmer than we'd predicted and only 2 away from the record. Low this morning, 85. Sun gets up at 5:34 on your Saturday morning. And we do have the possibility of the same thing happening again tomorrow, mainly because the weather pattern hasn't changed. It is stuck here. It just continues to be clockwise circulation around an area of high pressure, and there's plenty of moisture to be juiced up. Just have to wait and see where those storms pop up and where the wind decides to blow. We got a whole lot of rain for our neighbors up to the north, not nearly as warm as it has been. They were looking at readings of like 110 just the other day. So here's the Newscast for the rest of tonight. The rain's gone, the wind is pretty much gone, so we can say light wind for the rest of the night. 88 in the morning. Look for a mix of sun and clouds tomorrow and a high of 110, with the possibility of some very strong gusty winds. Lake Mead has a chance for a shower again tomorrow afternoon and 110 your high with generally light wind. We put variable up there because it'll get gusty around storms. Same thing for the mountain. You'll start out in the upper 50s, end up at the low 80s. We did not put rain in the extended forecast until next Tuesday or Wednesday, but it will be in the area throughout the weekend, but in the surrounding high country is the way it looks right now.
Thanks for keeping us up to date on it.
And Brandon Rue will do it over the weekend for you, too.
All right. Thank you. Well, new tonight, since September 11th, the country has been looking into ways to catch terrorists before they strike.
Yeah, and one of those high-tech techniques is already here, developed to look at cheaters on the Las Vegas Strip. And now, as News 13's Dave Malkoff shows us, one local man has catching terrorists down to a science on the Strip.
His eyes see everything on the Strip.
Okay, basically, I came to Las Vegas in the late 60s.
A casino cheater's worst enemy.
Really didn't get into the gaming industry till the late 70s, early 80s when I became a PI.
Meet Andy Anderson.
Maybe it's the lights, I don't know. Maybe it's the atmosphere, I don't know. But there's something here that makes some people want to stay, and I'm one of those.
Andy's business is knowing who the known cheaters are and kicking them out of casinos.
I'd go into casinos, I'd look at it, look at the people on the table. If I felt like they were bad people, I'd run out to my car, I'd open the bug book, and I'd run back in.
That all changed a few years back when he added a wireless connection between the casino's eye in the sky and his shotgun seat laptop. It was a radical idea.
But if you tell people today you're going to use a computer to catch cheats, it's no big deal. But back when I first came up with it, a lot of people kind of looked out of the side of their eye at me like, yeah, right. We open up the computer and we bring the face up, we'd look at the face, and we would try our best to say, well, yes, he's a bad guy, or no, he isn't a bad guy for the casinos.
Those computers are getting smarter.
Basically, a friend out in Atlantic City, a good friend of mine, Charlie Gunter, informed me about a company up in Mass, you know, at that time called Biometrica.
To freeze the image, I'll ask the computer to find the eyes. I'll do click.
Biometrica owns software that never forgets a face.
From those eye locations, I can measure all the parts of the face. From the eye to the tip of the nose, to the cheekbones, to the eyebrows, to the chin, to the side of the mouth, to the top of the lips. All these measurements are made instantly, just like that, less than a second.
You see, everyone's face breaks down into a mathematical formula. Those measurements are unique to you, almost like a fingerprint.
And the chart up here is showing how close or how far away that face is from each of these other faces.
It separates the good guys from the bad guys.
We heard a big bang.
Very bad guys.
I think that's when it all changed. And this town really changed quick because we both know they were here.
He decided to add a few more faces to his database.
Bring up the terrorists, and it just automatically finds the body, knows where the face is, checks the face and says, is this in the database? No, no, no. Terrorists, call security.
We've improved it within the last 5 years that we basically don't need the laptop anymore.
Or even the car for that matter. All he needs is a phone. A very expensive phone.
You get a call, you open it up, I can say, look up, I need to look at so-and-so, or I need to look at this, okay?
And it's not just pictures, but even video that, if needed to, can come in live.
You're actually seeing someone on a 21 table actually cheat.
The technology can also instantly find and identify missing kids, wanted felons, or even international terrorists.
Remember, they caught us off guard. I don't think we should ever get caught off guard again.
Dave Malkoff, News 13, inside Las Vegas.
That's incredible.
Isn't it fascinating?
It is. Well, you know, when your computer's in the shop, you call a guy like that to fix it. When your car's in the shop a few days, it can seem like forever.
It can, but what if those few days turn into a few months? Still ahead, we'll show you how Contact 13 helped a local guy take on a car repair shop and get back behind the wheel.
The air quality readings from today's dust storm won't be available, but here are the air quality readings for Friday, July 12th on News 13.
Now, with more complete coverage, News 13 continues with Contact 13.
I don't even want to stop for gas, but you can imagine 3 months without your car. It happened to one guy, courtesy of his auto mechanic.
But Contact 13 helped to make the wait worth his while. Tricia Keene shows us how.
Greg Legauble finally got his car back after 75 days in the shop.
It started out as a simple 2-day transmission rebuild. It turned into a 3-month nightmare.
He took his car to an auto repair shop he says wasn't reputable. He says the shop was installing old parts in his car.
I contacted Better Business Bureau, State of Nevada Consumer Affairs Division, every news channel. Nobody helped me. News 13, within 24 hours of contacting them, they contacted me.
Within a matter of weeks, Contact 13 was able to get Greg the $1,000 he had spent to get his car fixed back. Greg has a message for our volunteer Diva who helped him.
I mean, she was just absolutely incredible, showed genuine concern, and she helped me, which is something no other agency or no other news station would do.
Well, if you have ever watched E! Entertainment, you probably know who Brooke Burke is. Well, unfortunately for some, she's leaving that popular show called Wild On. And tonight at the Palms, they continued the search for her replacement. It's called A Wild Off, and the show is going to cities all over the world to find Burke's successor. Tonight's finalists were put to the test as they interviewed Skin Pool Lounge guests for possible future episodes of Wild On, and it is all about the interviewing techniques.
I was over there tonight for dinner with my husband, and all I can say is thank goodness he didn't have his glasses on because the women were gorgeous.
All about the interviewing techniques, just
Yes.
remember that.
Yes.
Coming up, the Dodgers and Diamondbacks doing battle once again.
Yeah, and New Orleans takes another step towards finishing its new arena. Hello, I'm Cathy Ray. Go beyond the ER to the real drama, the reality show everyone's talking about. A new Houston Medical, Tuesday at 10, then new at 11.
It's being called the next best thing in cars. Rides like a dream, great gas mileage, and the best part, the government gives you big money to buy it.
Accelerate your savings. Watch this special report from Tricia Keene and Contact 13. It all begins with 11 minutes of nonstop news, plus Nate's wake-up forecast. Tuesday at 11 on News 13, inside Las Vegas.
Instant weather at your fingertips. The News 13 weather line, 248-4800.
Sports with Ron Futrell, brought to you by the Desert Automotive Group and their 11 dealerships.
Now, with more complete coverage, News 13 continues with Ron Futrell and the sports team.
Well, what do you know? The Diamondbacks are closing in on the Dodgers tonight. Game 2 of a 4-game series in Chavez Ravine. 5th inning, tied at 1. This is Greg Colburn of Arizona at the plate with a shot that's going to deep left field. Kathy, you make the call. Home run, foul, what do you think? That's fair. That's a home run. You said foul. You got another one wrong. Anyway, that's all the D-backs needed to get a 3-2 win. Kurt Schilling, by the way, becomes baseball's first 15-game winner tonight. Greg Maddux back on the mound tonight for the Braves. He left after 5 innings after aggravating a muscle in his calf. Game tied at 3 in the 9th inning when rookie Henry Mateo, making his first start at shortstop, not a good one. That throwing error opens the door for the Braves to put together a 5-run rally. Braves win 8-3, no decision for Maddux. The latest arena to hit the Valley is coming right along. The Orleans Event Center is due to open next spring. Today, the crew celebrated the topping off of the arena. You see it's not finished yet, but the topping off of the frame construction part right now. Construction is actually about a month ahead of schedule, with a tentative opening around May 1st. When finished, the arena is expected to host a bunch of events like concerts, prize fights, equestrian shows, competitions, conventions, family shows, and team sports. There's been talk that the Wranglers hockey team will also play in the arena.
We've let them know, though, that we would talk to them, just like we've talked to dozens, literally dozens of hockey teams throughout the country that want to come back to Las Vegas.
And they will be running through the dirt in Henderson this weekend. The Terribles 250 begins early tomorrow morning, the off-road race that they have out there. This is video from earlier this evening at Water Street in Henderson. They had the cars all lined up and did the nice little tour there. And for those of us that were here back when the Mint 400 used to do this down on Fremont Street downtown, it sort of brought back some memories of that tonight. But it's a fun event out there, going out there, check out the cars out in the dirt, going around in circles.
I want the car wash when they finish.
That would be very busy.
That'd be a good fundraiser.
Yeah.
Well, Terribles has a car wash, I believe.
They have a bunch of them,
yes,
I believe.
Amazing, isn't it?
All right. That does it for this edition of News 13 at 11. Thanks for being with us this week.
We want you to have a great weekend, okay? Good night, everybody.
YourInsideLasVegas.com. Get updates on construction, road closings, and accidents.
Special.
Hay programas.
They have the